Because you think that you're so pretty, and just because you think that you're so hot, just because you think that you got something nobody else has got, cause me to spend all my money. Honey, you laugh and call me old Santa Claus. I'm telling you, baby, I'm through with you. Cause, baby, just because. Never come a time when you be lonesome. Never come a time when you be blue. Never come a time when old Santa won't pay your bills for you. Cause me to spend all my money. Honey, you laugh and call me old Santa Claus. I'm telling you, baby, I'm through with you. Cause, baby, just because. Because you think that you're so pretty, and just because you think that you're so hot, just because you think that you got something nobody else has got, you cause me to spend all my money. Honey, you laugh and call me old Santa Claus. I'm telling you, baby, I'm through with you. Cause, baby, just because. Because, baby, just because. Because, baby, just because.
I like to talk about intros and endings in country songs because there's there's that standard intro that everyone uses. I guess when you did the Luxury Liner record with Emmylou Harris, the tune My San Antone Rose has that real stock country intro. Maybe you could show us how. Let's do that one more time.
I actually played that with the steel. I mean,
really?
It was twin with the steel. Yeah. 3, 4, 1. That, as you say, it's just kind of a stock kind of intro.
Yeah, but it's neat because when people who haven't played country, when they find themselves on a country gig, they would be called to do stuff like that. Are there any other tunes that you could think of that have something like that?
Well, I can't think of any that have that an identifiable intro like that. But you could fit that kind of intro to, you know, to any sequence really. That's going.
Let's try one more.
Okay. The same.
Okay. 2, 3. That's beautiful.
I mean, it's just variations on the theme.
Yeah,
really,
well, but you know, it's neat to do those great variations because I figure the more people study the different variations, the more they can combine them and come up with something of their own. Let's do one more. Maybe you can do it somewhere up in the neck. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So maybe you can also show us some endings because there's like these classic cadenza riffs, especially in E and in G that...
well, yeah.
There's like that, I know there's like this real great pull-off lick that you do in G that's...
That kind of thing?
Yeah, there's one you do in G where you use open string. Yeah, like that. That's great. Yeah, that's yeah, so how would that fit in the context of a tune?
I was thinking more of a slower tune, really.
Okay, sure. Is there one that maybe spans the neck a little bit where you can go? Right.
That kind of thing.
Very good, yeah. Let's do it again, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've noticed again that you do that minor major third thing where you're playing the C natural here over the A, and then you go into the C sharp, which you do that a lot in your playing. So,
I've got a good one for you.
Okay,
this is
great.
one I did at the end of Salt Creek
great.
on my album there.
Great.
That's the same length there.
Great. Let's slow it down. This is real killer.
I'll be able to remember that one. You see.
noticed in your soloing that you sometimes do a real neat rhythmic figure where it's kind of a quasi-chicken picking move where you swallow 3 notes and then play a full one, like kind of something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe you could.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've incorporated that a lot over the years.
Yeah.
And I think I got it from Don Rich of the Buckaroos.
Right,
you know,
sure.
he did a. Well, I think the track was called Chicken Picking.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So what you're doing is you're approaching the bottom note. You're playing 6th, and you're approaching the bottom note chromatically and using it as with a triplet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat. Yeah. And as you're just basically running kind of a scale down, but
that's it, simplified, really.
yeah. So what do you do with your right hand to give it that real clucking sound?
Well,
you mute somewhere?
Yeah, I'm muting those and letting the top note ring clean.
And I also noticed that you're plucking the top note with a finger rather than with a pick.
Yeah, I'm doing.
Yeah,
make
which
it
fingers?
slap, you know, with a little finger.
Oh, with a little finger. Now, how would you use this approach in your own style, where you could combine it with some other things in like a run?
I suppose I would use it in rocking occasionally, you know.
Yeah.
But actually, I tend to, if I'm doing rock, I'll tend to do it more on one note, more on one note. Just to give
that's really neat.
accent to the note.
And you do the same thing. You pick the 3 notes and you pluck the top note with your pinky. Yeah. Maybe you could run that note, that riff up again, like the way you. I've also noticed in some of your playing that you use tenths, which is you would play a bass note and then a third an octave away, and run scales up and down. Can you show that to us?
Yeah, I always liked the sound of that ever since I heard Chet Atkins do
really?
it, you know.
Yeah.
And,
Great. Let's look at the shape, some of the shapes that you play there. There's a basic A chord, and then when you play, okay, so there you're playing the B with your first finger on the 5th string, and the D natural with your pinky on the 2nd string. And you're picking that the low note is with a pick, and the high note is with
my ring finger.
With your ring finger, great. And then you just move that up a whole step, and you get a C sharp minor sound. And there you get a D major sound. And you're playing the D with your first finger and the F sharp with your 4th finger.
Yeah, it's the same fingering each time, you know.
Yeah, except, right. And there's an E. That's an F sharp minor.
Well, actually, I'd think of that as a D.
Oh, really?
Over the D chord.
Oh, great. Okay. So that would be right. So that would be a D over an F sharp bass.
Yeah, because there at that position, the third is in the
bass.
Is in the bass.
Neat. Yeah. So you got D E D again, and then you play an E using that same fingering with the third in the bass. In this case, the G sharp in the bass, right? And then there's an A with it. That's great. Could you run that down again, please? Yeah. Thanks. So that's just a major scale, harmonized in tenths, yeah.
Yeah, you can get some really neat effects.
Yeah, and Chet used to do a lot of that, you say.
Oh, yeah. He's the master of that, yeah.
You did kind of something in E, too, where you...
Yeah, I carried on down
all right, yeah.
to the...
Oh, that's neat. So what do we have there? We have an... that's an A, so...
That's the A, yeah.
Right. And that's the same thing, an E with a G sharp with a third in the bass.
Yeah.
And then there's a D with the third in the bass also with the F sharp. Is that how you see it, or do you see it? Yeah.
I'm thinking of that as a D chord.
Yeah, as a D chord, right.
Yeah. Back to the E chord.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, it's nice. So let's just take that up the scale there on the lower fourth.
Okay. Scale in E.
There's the A, and that's a B. It's a C sharp minor to... Okay, it's the same thing as on the middle 2 strings, but you do it on the E and on the G string. Let's run that slowly again so that people... Okay. Right. A, right. B. Now you see that as an A with a C sharp in the bass.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's a B with a D sharp in the bass.
Yeah.
And there's an E. That's really neat. Where would you use these kind of voicings? Over a ballad or...?
Yeah. Usually, yeah. I probably wouldn't play a whole thing,
whole scale
a line
thing,
like that, but occasionally I'll just slip it in, in the context of,
Yeah, I like to see that.
doing it. know, just something that I use in passing. I don't stick around on one thing for too long,
right,
you know. I mean,
right.
I don't know if that's good or bad, you know. It
Yeah.
makes it... I tend not to play too many signature licks that
Right.
way, you know, and...
That's why you have a signature style.
well, I suppose that's why it's different, you know. But,
yeah. But it's just another weapon to have in your arsenal if you can
absolutely,
grab those
yeah.
kind of voicings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've always loved that. you
Yeah.
know.
That little passage you played before that, I've also noticed that you used thirds and sixths, and those are very common in your playing, where you would play a run in thirds or a little passage in thirds. So maybe you could show us...
That kind of thing?
Yeah, that kind of thing, yeah. So we're in G right now. Okay, so we have a B and the D with the second and the first finger on the G and the B strings, okay? And then we go to C and E. And that's and is that how you would play your thirds? You wouldn't bar it. You'd play that with your third and fourth fingers.
Yeah.
In this kind of application.
Yeah,
yeah.
if I was playing a
Right.
a run, you know.
Yeah. And then you move that up a whole step, that shape, to D and F sharp with your third and fourth fingers, right? And then you have E and G with your first and second fingers again. And then you end it with a sixth. So you just ended your run in thirds.
Yeah.
And that's a C. And that's a G there. And the last two are sixths.
I guess I owe a lot to Chet Atkins because I mean, listening to that, I mean, I learned that from those old Don Gibson records. You know,
Right,
I mean,
right.
he just did wonderful stuff. You know, with the old Bigsby as well. You know, and it's,
And that's a neat way of playing a sixth there. That shape where you played the B with your first finger and the G. Yeah,
I guess that's where country music owes a lot to Hawaiian music. Too.
Really?
I think it sounds Hawaiian to me.
Yeah. So let's play a little waltz. Maybe you can throw in the thirds and sixths and see what we come up with. Okay. noticed that you were using a vibrato over the chords. It made it sound really...
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that, you know.
Let's just grab a chord. Let's grab a chord and just show the vibrato. So you're shaking both notes. I've noticed that you approach a lot of your thirds, you might say chromatically, where you would go from, say, C to D, you'd go that kind of thing, or... Could you show us a couple of moves like that? Let's see that move right there where you go. That's really neat. I've seen you do these kind of rolls when you play chords, and you do that style where you alternate, and then you do the rolls with the other fingers of your right hand.
Oh yeah, when I turn it into more like a banjo kind of thing.
Exactly,
when I do I mean, I was trying to imitate the banjo, you know,
really.
But not being able to use the thumb pick again, and not really able to get on with it. You know, I figured out a way of alternating the flat pick and the fingers.
You have to show us that banjo pattern, that classic one in G. Okay, so you're picking with the thumb, and then
with the flat pick and
I'm sorry, with the flat pick you're picking. And then hitting you're holding the G with your third finger on the fourth string. Then the G on the third string is open, and you're holding the D on the second string with your first finger. And you're going pick, ring finger, and middle finger.
Yeah.
Right, and then you
no, I'm using little finger, not the ring finger.
Oh, the little finger. And that's the same pattern.
No, I'm alternating there. I'm using the pick on the second and the third string there.
Oh.
You can just go back and forth. It's whatever feels comfortable to me at the time, you know. And that's why I can never play the same thing twice, you know, because I'll start doing something and I'll just go off in a different direction and maybe use slightly different fingering to what I used before, and it'll take me in a different direction. You know?
Yeah, but the time is always still there and rock solid. So
well, yeah, that's what I try and to maintain. You know, I'm very conscious of that. You know, I really loved to be right next to the drums, you know, just
Right.
have it pounding away, you
Right.
know, and then it just gives me the freedom to
Right.
to move around more.
Yeah,
you
you're
know.
noted for your solid time, how you effortlessly keep the groove going throughout.
Well, I try to. As I say,
Yeah.
I try to be very conscious of that, you know. But
Yeah.
I play if I'm having a tough time hearing that pulse,
Right.
then I find I play very stiff, you know, and
Right.
because I'm trying to play that pulse
Yeah.
and play around with it, and it just doesn't
Sure.
happen, you know. But when I've got the freedom to stretch out, you know, then it's a lot easier for me, you know.
Yeah. A real common kind of progression that I've seen you do, I believe, at the end of Country Boy, where you go from E to A to D to G, and you use a lot of these shapes. Would you mind running the progression using these chord shapes?
Sure.
Great.
Okay.
That's great, yeah. That was really neat stuff that you played. Maybe you can go over some of these chord shapes that you just played. Especially, I noticed you moving this shape where you play two open strings. Yeah, let's look at that.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
you played that over an E7th chord, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was, you know, just by moving that down a semitone at a time, it'll work with that sequence.
Right,
you know.
a semitone being a half step.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just take a look at that chord. So you're playing the G sharp with your first finger, the D with your second finger, and then the B is the open string and E is open. And that gives you a straight E7th chord.
Yeah.
And then over the A7th, you move
Yeah.
down a half step, and you get the G with your first finger, the C sharp with your second finger, the B and the E are open. So that functions as an A9 chord because the B is the 9 in the chord. You move that down again, a half step, and that's D13th. Where you got the third, the F sharp with your first finger, the flat 7th, the C with your second finger. The open B functions as a 13, and the E functions as the 9. And then we go to, this is another kind of G13th chord. The F natural is the flat 7th, the B is the 3rd, and then you double the B, the open B on the B string, and the E functions as the 13th.
Yeah.
Well, just for someone who's just starting out on this roll, it'd be really neat if we could just, yeah. That's great. Let me set up a real slow groove, and maybe that'll help you
Okay.
play it slowly, because
Okay.
people are just dying to find out these kind of moves. Okay.
keep going. This one is simpler, actually.
This is great. Let's try playing that faster so we get the idea what that sounds like, and then we'll break it down.
It's simpler because you're only using three strings.
Three strings,
here.
okay. There's one other place where you do that move that I've seen you do it, and that's like around the 12th fret, I believe I've seen you do that.
Yeah,
where
I'll do that, yeah.
One more time. Now, the neat thing is you can probably combine the patterns that you play around the 12th fret and the patterns you play around the 5th fret as well, right? You can slide those down chromatically and then do the same thing over the changes here.
Yeah.
And then move up.
The reason I do the one on the 5th fret different is because I know that I've got that extra open string that I can utilize, you know, and that's why I tend to put in a few more notes in that one. And that's why that one is a little more complicated, because I know I've got that extra string to play with.
Right.
You know.
Now that would make a perfect exercise for someone just wanting to get their feet wet, learning the banjo rolls and stuff, and learning to play over that kind of change. It's great.
Another little thing I add sometimes is like, just adding.
That's great. Just hammering on the high, in case of the first chord, the high G sharp with your pinky, right?
Yeah.
And then the G, you're just right. So the shape remains constant. So you're just moving it down in half steps. Yeah. I've seen also you do something where you play the you play like an E here, and then you go to the A here.
Oh yeah.
And then you play this D. Yeah. That's it. there's another riff that you played that I'd like you to maybe dissect for us. It kind of involves the same thing, that kind of open string roll / run, and that's what you do in the beginning of T-Bird to Vegas, and that intro. Yeah, that. If we can play that at half speed, you would make millions of people happy. That's great. So basically, you're doing that backwards roll idea again, where you're playing the, say, for the first part of the run, you're playing the D with the pick, and then the G with your middle finger, and then playing the D with the pick, the F with the middle finger, then the D with the pick again, and then backwards rolling the open E with your pinky, the F with your middle finger, and then the D with the pick again. That kind of. Right. So is that basically kind of the foundation of the pattern that you use throughout the whole intro?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. That's just a backward roll to the second part of it. Right.
It's tricky to play it slow when you're up to tempo. And
let's do the second.
Makes more sense.
Yeah, I know. Let's do the second part of that lick again. Let's do the second part of that lick. Okay, and then go on to the next part. That's the shape we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, and there's just a roll there, right? Mm. And that's just so the first is just an F triad, right?
Yeah.
And then you're using the open G string there with the E and the A, okay? Whoa. Are you hammering the A from the E or from the G? From the open E to the A, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hadn't realized I was doing that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then you're playing the stopped B and the open D string, and then resolving to the G. Okay. So let's catch that whole intro now up to tempo.
Okay.
I guess we should talk about another facet in country guitar playing, which is bending. Maybe you could show us some common bends that you use when you're not using the B puller.
Okay, well, I mean, the basic things I learned in the 60s, I suppose, were from James Burton, you know, which were basic blues licks, but they work over country tunes, you know, bending up to certain notes.
Now that's like a real common country run. Maybe you could slow that down a little bit. So you're bending the B to the C sharp, and so you're hinting, you're actually playing, it's if you were playing an A triad, you're bending the second to the third.
Yeah.
Right. I see you're really pulling your thumb over the neck too. You do that for support, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And there you're just bending the fourth to the fifth, the D to the E, right? That's another beautiful bend there.
That's kind of a steel lick where I'm bending one note a whole step and another note a half step.
So you're going from, so it's like going from D to G, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at that pretty closely there. Up to an E and the F sharp to a G, so you're kind of going to a G6 type sound, yeah. I've also seen you bend from the seventh to the root when you're holding the third. Like say if you're an A, you'd be doing this kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. Let's look at that. You're bending, so you're holding the C sharp with your third finger and bending the G up to an A and releasing, and then going to the E with your second finger. Oh, and then you're playing thirds. You're playing right. E flat G to D F sharp, right. Right. So there we're getting an idea of, say, the way you combine all the elements to make your own style. Like you said, you don't ever hang on one thing too much. There, you bent up a little bit, you went back to the thirds, and then you ended on a little scale thing.
That has that kind of fanfare effect that Chuck Berry introduced, you know.
Right.
That kind of thing. It's just taking it a little further, you know, with some bends in there, you know.
A common move in country, a common progression is the 1 to the 4 chord, the G to the C, for example, if we're in the key of G. And I know that in country, voice leading is very important. It doesn't sound good to jump from one position all the way up the neck to another position. A lot of people try to cop that pedal steel sound where you have a very smooth type of voice leading. Could you show us how you approach going from the 1 to the 4 chord?
If you're thinking chordally, I'd probably do it with a pull string.
Oh, really?
Or you can do it like this.
That's
pulling
beautiful.
There.
So what we have is a G triad in the 7th position. You're playing the G with the pinky on the 5th string, the B with your 3rd finger on the 4th string, and the D with your 1st finger on the 3rd string. And then you're bending...
I'm bending the 3rd and 4th string. I bend the 3rd string a tone.
A whole step, right? So you're bending the D to the E.
Yeah, and I bend the B to a C.
and you're bending them both at the same time. So you're getting a G to C movement, and it sounds just like a pedal steel guitar.
Well,
yeah,
kind of. I used to do it a lot, but I don't. I tend not to do it so much now. I mean, I used to use on my old telly. I had lighter strings, and it was easier to get those kind of bends, you know.
Yeah.
But I sacrificed that for the sound I prefer on the slightly heavier gauge string. Right. So I tend not to do those kind of bends anymore, you know, because I've gotten so used to using a pull string to do those kind of bends, and there's more chance of getting them in tune, you know, because you can't always. Yeah,
that's.
You know, it's not always
quite beautiful. All right, let's see that there. What you just did.
Well, that's kind of a
great.
Basic steel lick.
Well,
you know,
that's great. We just saw this really neat tune called Sweet Little Lisa that you played, and you were using this guitar, and I believe it's equipped with a thing called a string bender, a pull bender?
String bender, pull string, B bender. It's got a number of names.
Yeah, okay, so maybe you could tell us a little bit about it, the history about it.
Well, yeah, I'll try. I mean, this particular idea was, I believe, was first put together by Gene Parsons and Clarence White.
Mm-hmm.
You know? The method of using the strap with a system of like a lever and a long spring,
mm-hmm.
you know, and turning this little gadget here, which actually raises the second string.
So without playing the string, you can actually bend it up a whole step.
Yeah. and you adjust, there's a little hole here, and you can stick an Allen wrench through there and it adjusts the stop point of that. Or like the Gene Parsons one, there's a little knob there you can turn, and you know, a number of ways you can do it. There are a number of them on the market now, you know. Yeah. But I started out using this particular type, you know, with the strap button here, and it feels comfortable, you know. So I've stuck with it. You know, there are others, you know, like palm pedals, you know, like a Bigsby kind of contraption, which does the same thing, and like hip shot, which is like a lever that comes out of the back of the guitar, and you pull against it like that, you know. And they all work fine, you know. But
and they all work on the B string, right?
Yeah, that seems to be the most usable.
And that's situation, to get the sound of a pedal steel, the authentic pedal steel.
Yeah, just to imitate the pedal steel, you know.
Didn't Carl Perkins have something like that too?
Yeah, well, that's the first time I ever saw that idea used. You know, I saw Carl in the early '60s, and he had I think it was like a Gibson ES5 3 pickup, Gibson, you know, and he had a little bent piece of wire, you know, with sticky tape on it, and I think maybe there was a spring under it, or maybe it was just the tension of the spring, but he could actually press his thumb against it and raise he used to, you know, raise the second string of tone, you know. But he was doing it with his thumb,
right?
And of course, he was limited to that position with his hand.
So he had to go up to D. He couldn't hit it, right? That's great.
So, but I mean, he was on the right track there. You know, I don't know if he got the idea from someone else or not, but it was a neat idea, you know, for getting those country licks. You know?
Yeah. There's a lot of guitar players that really try to mimic the sound of a pedal steel conventionally. Yeah. And
I mean, I used to do it, you know, or try to do it, you know. But once you get into using one of these things, you know, it
just a lot cleaner.
Yeah, and you know, you know it's going to be in tune every time. Yeah. You know, if you were trying to, you know, you can guarantee you're going to bend it right each time. You know, but. It's a lot of fun. Of course, when you first get it, you're trying to, you know, everything you do, you want to utilize it. You know? And I've seen a lot of people do that. You know? I've seen Jimmy Page using his. You know, this is a long time ago when he first got it, and it was
really, he had one too, huh?
Oh yeah, he has a couple. Yeah, Dave Evans has one too.
You know, now that you mention it, I remember him doing a pedal steel type effect on one Led Zeppelin tune. Yeah.
Or I don't know if he had it back then. Or maybe he did.
Was it? Maybe he was actually playing pedal steel then. But
it was. You know, we listened to the same guys when we were growing up. You know, so I'm sure he was. Even though one wouldn't think of him as a country player, I'm sure he was listening to those country players like I did. You know. Yeah.
I was wondering if we did this one bend earlier, this one little lick earlier, and maybe you can compare the sound of it with a conventional band. I think we did this kind of thing, where we got the 7 and see how much cleaner.
Yeah, I love to do that with a pull string, because you can forget about the left hand fingering and concentrate on the sound of it really, and getting the staccato effect. And, you know, you can really do that.
And that's kind of stuff you do all over Sweet Little Lisa, too. You just do a lot of that.
You can do that slinky bend, and it can, you know, it's in tune. You can do it as fast and slow, or slow as you want. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a neat effect, you know.
And you use it in a really neat way too, because I've actually, you played a ballad using the bender, and the lyrical way you use it, actually it was beautiful. It sounded like a pedal steel.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, I mean, I try to use it like that, you know. I mean, I started out trying to copy a pedal steel, and you know, there's no way that you can really duplicate it. Although Phil Bohr, I don't know if you've heard of a player called Phil Bohr.
No.
He's no longer with us, unfortunately. He was a great player. You know, I first heard him playing a telly, you know, but at one time he had like a Les Paul with 6 cables coming out to 6 pedals on the floor.
Really?
And he could just do amazing things with the guitar. You know, it just sounded like a steel.
Is he on any records or anything? Or?
Oh yeah, he did a few. Yeah.
Are they still in print? Would you know? Because I'm
I'm
sure
sure you can find them.
Yeah,
But
Phil Ball, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
B-A-U-G-H. I mean, he was a monstrous player, one
Wow.
of my favourites, you know.
Yeah.
But he took it to its, you know, farthest
To
point.
the limit.
Really. Yeah. And that was too far for me, you know. I mean, there are other gadgets you can get to, you know, to bend other strings, but that I think just the second string is enough for me.
Yeah.
Because I like to not to get too distracted from all the other things I do, you know. So it's just nice to, you know, do that now and again. But if I had more gadgets on there, you know,
Right.
it would be too distracting.
Right,
You know,
sure.
this can be distracting enough. You know.
How about the Chuck Berry tune? Chuck Berry tune.
Oh yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
a nice effect because
Okay.
you can get that Memphis, Tennessee.
That's
lick,
I
you
figured
know,
we could do something like that.
and can sound really in tune, you know.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, that kind of chime effects.
That's
it
really cool.
Works well, I think.
Yeah, I also noticed like you would say like hold an E9 chord, and then bend the B pen, yeah, or bend the like on the 7th fret, yeah, or when you hold it down here on the 7th fret, right here, yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, no, and you also like, yeah, where you would bar the chord and then bend into the third is like a real cool thing.
Yeah, well, you have to think flat all the time on the second string, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, you know, you can get carried away with it.
We just saw you play this tune where you use this really neat kind of guitar, whatever that is. Can you tell us what it is?
Well, it's an Ernie Ball Music Man 6-string bass.
It's a bass?
Yeah.
Whoa. And I guess it uses bass strings, regular bass strings?
Yeah, well, it's an octave below a guitar, so it's guitar tuning.
Guitar tuning,
just
yeah.
An octave below. I guess the 4 bottom strings are light gauge bass strings, really, you know, until you get up to the top here, and this is probably like, you know, the bottom strings of a guitar. You know?
Yeah, oh. Anybody else that used one of these things?
Well, they've been around for a while, since the 50s, I guess, maybe longer. I was first aware of them through Dwayne Eddy.
Oh, Dwayne Eddy used them.
Yeah, he used them on a few of his albums, you know. But people have used them over the years, you know. I think Jack Bruce used one,
really?
A Fender one with Cream, played bass on it, you know.
Great, great. So how about a little riff on that thing there?
Yeah, well... Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Albert, I really want to thank you for taking your time to shed some light on a really confusing topic for a lot of guitar players. And
well, I hope I helped.
I think you really have, and I think it's only fitting to end this tape on another tune. What do you say you go and play some with the band?
Sure, I'd love to,
great.
yeah. And thanks for watching, folks, and I hope you'll continue to watch.
Yeah.
Thank you.